Okay, good afternoon, Worldcoin Talk community. Today we have Mike, Jeremy, and Robin from Better Token. That's the AMA we're doing today. So I suppose if we could just start with a bit of a background on crypto from the three of you, that'd be great.
Go ahead, Mike.
Robin, go ahead.
Okay,
We can see you. My video is not working. For those that listen to the replay, my video is not working, so we'll have Robin kick it off.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Robin, and I have been in crypto since 2017. And my background is in journalism. I actually started off working for universities and the government and all that fun stuff, and climbed the corporate ladder, decided I wanted to become an entrepreneur and join the coaching industry, met up with Mike 10 years ago and started online marketing and branding and business development. And one of the things I always love to do is help empower people financially to create wealth and sustainability in a way that was establishing sovereignty. And so right before Bitcoin reached its all-time high in 2017-18, I ended up getting involved with trading cryptocurrency full time. And then I started to support people in the crypto space. And not only did it support me financially and take me to a new level of abundance and financial prosperity, but it allowed me to really help other people do that with all of the skills that I had. I was able to marry them and then to support people. So Better Token for myself is a culmination of all of my years of experience and networking and doing startup companies. One of the first, when I was 23 years old, I was a liaison with an engineering firm and created a $100 million deal partnership with a wiring manufacturing company, and I'm not an engineer. And so I realized that, you know, I like to connect the dots, and crypto, as I say, is a universal language. So if English isn't your first language, you guys understand how cryptocurrency, like music, is a frequency that can take us to a place where we can actually unite and connect without that barrier of language or things that may complicate communication and connection. So for me, crypto, you know, is just very deep and very real. And our proven use model, as Mike will get into in a moment, has been about over 3 months now in the making, proving what we're already doing with Better Token and Better Platform. So it's a powerful mechanism, what we're doing, and kind of this birthing of Better is just the beginning of what people will start to see from the feature-rich platform that Jeremy will get into, and all of the advancements that we already have a proven model in place that is just groundbreaking and revolutionary and a breath of fresh air, as other developers in the industry have shared with us. But to be able to take something that's already working and serving people in an empowering way financially as an investor-based research tool, as we call it, with crowdsourcing meeting AI, but to be able to take that and bridge the gap. And so I've been doing that for my whole life. And with Better, it allows me to really just do what I do really well. So when you see me on video and you watch me do what I do, it's just really kind of where I'm at now is Better is just allowing me to be who I am, authentic in my truth and my power, and really help other people bridge that gap of prosperity, whether people want to, you know, get involved with crypto full time like myself, or just have kind of that side income or that investment capability to be able to sustain themselves and improve their life and their family and all of that. So yeah, just in short, I'm really excited to be able to be a part of Better Token and Platform with Jeremy, James, and Mike Klingler, and to be able to support this in the way that I can, and to kind of uplift that and create that culture in the crypto space, as I say, to really change the standards. A lot of people, when they found out I was doing crypto on the DeFi space, you know, they said, "Oh, little lady, I don't know if this is the right space for you. It's a little underground, kind of dark for you." And I just said, I'm here to change things. I'm here to create a new standard. And everyone was like, all right, let's see what you got. So this is what we got. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, just real quick. So first time I heard of crypto, was 2000, probably 2010, or it must have been 2010. So it was just starting out, and I had a pretty large company at the time, teaching people marketing. We had a big marketing school, and a whole bunch of clients were reaching out saying, "Can I pay you in Bitcoin? You need to get into Bitcoin." And I just thought they were nuts. And I was so focused on what I was doing, I just shut it down, and I just wasn't interested. I kept hearing about it. It's like I had my opportunity, but I totally closed the door on it back then. And it was, and then I think a lot of us, we heard the buzz keep resurfacing, and I just kind of kept thinking I better start paying attention. But it wasn't until 2017 that I started to, and very quickly, once I watched a video about it, really sat down and understood what it was, I was like, whoa, I've been an idiot. So I jumped in and started, and my path kind of was with Robbins at the time. We became full-time traders. I ended up losing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars initially, kind of just playing around, not knowing what I was doing everything wrong. But sometimes that's the fastest way to learn. And, it's kind of fast forward. This is our first blockchain project, but I have built many software projects, multi-million-dollar projects. All but one of them I funded myself. So I'm really experienced with the software side, and with taking an idea and vision, very complex vision, and turning it into something real. And this is the first time applying that to the blockchain. But quite honestly, when it comes to developing apps and dApps and software, it's basically the same thing. As long as you have an amazing team and an amazing developer, and we do. That Jeremy sitting right here, he's our lead developer, also a co-founder. So with that, I'll pass this over to Jeremy, who's really able to communicate better than I've ever any other technically minded person I've worked with. And that really makes it easy to put really complex ideas into reality.
Yeah, hey guys. So my experience in crypto, since that's the question that was asked, started back when Bitcoin was about $350. So that tells you the point where I started my journey into the crypto space. Since then, I've been involved with quite a few projects that are blockchain based. Some of the projects succeeded, some did not. The very first one I was involved in did not. It was a smart contract for the Bitcoin network, and the smart contracts in Bitcoin were just not ready for the type of processing that's needed. Once Ethereum came out, then that really opened up the world, of course, to the different types of dApps that could be developed and the type of projects that could be developed. So since then, I've been working on a number of projects that are, blockchain-based projects. Some of them are centralized, some of them decentralized. So dependent upon the scenario that I was developing for. This particular project is adding the element of creating a token, which has been pretty incredible experience. We've involved quite a few consultants along the way to make sure that we're doing everything right. Of course, there's a lot that has to go into the decisions as far as how to do, anti-bots and everything else that's involved with the token world. But my development experience comes from a background of starting development when I was about 7 years old. So I've been in the creation of applications in that space for a long time. I've been involved in a number of different businesses as startups myself, as well as corporate projects that span anywhere from very tiny projects to $20 million projects that were delivered on time and under budget. So I've got a lot of experience working in both the corporate world as well as the startup space. So that's where I can actually communicate to both the technical side and the functional specs, as well as what the business needs are. So that's been a big part of what I've been doing for the past 20 plus years, is being able to understand what the technical needs are based upon what people are trying to accomplish and helping them get their companies going. So it's been a lot of fun working with this project because we have experienced marketers. Everybody knows if you create a token or create a project and nobody knows about it, it's not going to do nearly as well. So it's been a blessing working with Mike and Robin because they actually understand how to do marketing properly, and it makes it much more exciting.
Thank you very much, Robin, Mike, and Jeremy. So if we could delve into crowdsourcing and AI with the gamification, it's really interesting because I remember years ago I was doing stocks and shares, fantasy stocks and shares. You know, you didn't have to actually invest, and you'd have a leaderboard and things like that. If we could go into maybe the compensation, scoring, and ranking that people can do inside the DApp, that's really exciting.
Yeah, let's start with the calendar. Jeremy, I think that you're sharing the screen right now, right? Is that what I'm looking at? Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and scroll to the calendar, which is the next image. And I don't know if you guys can see this very well. And we have this in the light paper on the site right now, the white paper, and the next version of the whole website that gives a lot more information on the site. That's going to be up either later today or tomorrow. The white paper will be out today if you're in our Telegram. But what you're looking at there, if you can see it, I know it's small, but it's a calendar. It's part of the DApp. And when you click on a particular day, it's going to show you all of the different crypto ICOs, pre-sales, fair launches, et cetera, that are launching that day. And it's color coded. You see red and green and yellow and purple. And these indicate what the success track record history is of the person who posted it. A lot of you guys know there's these Telegram groups and there's shill groups everywhere and everyone's shilling, but nobody really knows if the person shilling knows what they're talking about or not. And oftentimes they don't. And so it's not a very effective way to do your research, just chasing around people that are shilling all the time. So here you get to see that evidence-based history track record, and the color coding of the post reflects that success record. So for example, if somebody is red, it means they're shilling a lot of things, they're posting a lot of things that don't turn out to have a good history success record at all. And we have a really complex AI coding point system that allows us to track that. And we probably won't get into that today because it's pretty complex, but it's something that we built into the smart contract where we can change certain variables to tweak that exactly where we want it. So that's really what I would say sets us miles ahead of anybody else in the next gen research tools, is that complex coding and the way that we collate this data so that the point system is reflecting properly. So for example, red indicates somebody's not successful, purple indicates the poster is successful most of the time. And so obviously if you're going to spend an hour researching crypto projects today, you'd want to start with the purples. There's also greens who are right behind the purples. And if someone's brand new, they're yellow. If somebody wants to post because they're new to the platform and they don't have the confidence yet to get ranked, because the ranking is tied to how much you make. You get compensated for making these posts. The higher you rank, the more you get paid. And it can be quite significant as you get up to purple, because that's extremely valuable to the platform and to the community and the investors using the platform. So you get compensated a lot at purple. Obviously, you don't get compensated anything at red. We can tweak that too. So if we decided that, hey, some of the reds have some value because maybe there's a good one in there that other people could come in and vet, we might pay them a little, but it'd be very low if we do. We can adjust that as we go, as we kind of monitor the crowdsourcing behavior and get the data where we want it. And by the way, all that's pretty complex to do it in advance. You can't tweak a smart contract later. You need to know if you are going to tweak it later, you need to know where you're going to tweak it, how you're going to tweak it, and it's got to be done in a way that, an audit and everything everybody would be happy with. So it was pretty complex putting all this together on the front. But anyway, that's the gist of it. This all culminated out of a Discord group that we started about 4 months ago called Tribe 100X, where we literally set out to create this. So we started the Discord to learn crowdsourcing behavior, to test all of this before we turned it into a cryptocurrency. So what most of these projects do, of course, a lot of them are kids. They'll come out with a great idea that they have no experience being able to develop. They'll raise a bunch of money because, it's insane right now how easy it is to raise money. And people throw a bunch of money at them, and then they feel like they've already won. They get the big pile of money, and, they start losing interest in actually developing the idea, because that's the hard part. So instead of that, we decided to do the hard work first. And 4 months ago, we told everybody we're developing a cryptocurrency, and we're going to build this over the blockchain. Here's how it's basically going to work. And hey, if you want to be part of the beta test and benefit from this collation, the collating of data to be able to bring forward the cryptocurrencies most likely to 2x or 100x or more, if you want to be part of that, You actually have to pay to be in our Discord group. We didn't just want a bunch of anybody's. We wanted them to see the value of it. So they were paying members. We had 700. We still do have 700 paying members in that tribe that beta tested this, and they had to pay to beta test it. And we've got hundreds and hundreds of people who posted their results from this process. So we went through that first to learn the crowdsourcing behavior and to tweak and modify this. And then we turned it into the blockchain. And that's the kind of intensity of process, like of research that we put into everything that we develop into this thing. So when we say that we're going to be among the giants in the crypto research market, I mean, we're not playing. We're really putting a lot of years of experience and development and a lot of research time and development now into making sure that we can do that, and we believe that we will. If you want to scroll down, Jeremy, to the next, I don't know how well people can see this because it's pretty small. I don't know if you can expand it, right? Can you expand it? I've never screen shared it.
On a full screen, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, okay, cool. So this is just kind of zooming in on another feature. There's a lot of features. We won't be able to go over them all today. But, and of course, this is in the light paper and the white paper that's coming out today. But this is just showing that there's all kinds of cool things going on to gamify it. So, for example, if somebody gets we've had a lot of people in our tribe community get a 100x or more, or a 50x or whatever, because of somebody who posted on the calendar, or a vetter. I didn't talk about the vetters. We also have vetters who come and give additional deeper dive analysis on each of the projects and have a way to compensate them as well, especially if they're doing a good job of it. And so when somebody, a vetter or a scout, posts something to the calendar and somebody gets 100x, a 50x, even a 5x, that person can tip them in vetter token. And then we're showing all these stats, like who's the top tipper, who's been tipped the most, and it shows you who's got the biggest gains today. And so it makes it fun, and it also allows you, all of this gamification and the highlighting of this data allows you to see who's doing a good job, who are the people who are posting, who are consistently finding the winners for people. Like whoever's been tipped the most, for example, is probably consistently finding the winners. So not only can you figure it out by looking at the calendar and seeing who's purple, when you're trying to assess where you want to put your research time that day, but you can also be looking at all these stats and see who's been tipped the most and know, hey, maybe that's somebody I want to follow. And you could follow them, and then when they favorite something, you see that. So the level that this is going to improve the industry and market is almost indescribable, and I'm just starting to dig into it. I mean, what's the next slide down, Jeremy? Let's see if, so this is focusing more on the featuring of your rank as a voter, as a scout, or a vetter. And of course, an investor can use our platform and they don't have to participate in the gamification and the compensation and the incentivization of, creating the value. They don't need to post projects and vote on projects and vet projects to use the system. In fact, we fully expect that most people who use the platform will just be investors, and very appealing to the mainstream market, like, BitBoy's audience, Cryptos R Us's audience, Crypto Banter's audience. These guys don't typically like what's going on the Binance Smart Chain because there's nothing really with any efficacy. It's a lot of hype and a lot of BS. This is going to change all that. So those are the markets that we're really reaching for. And by attracting consumer investors, investors that want to use the tool as a consumer who have to hold the vetter token, that's just a perfect way of attracting investors and doing it in a way that future regulation probably won't mind, because we're going to be featuring the DApp and featuring the value of the research tool and not just going out there and hyping up investors. We'll let the investors hype themselves up when they use the platform. But anyway, this voting and ranking, it shows a person when they come into the dashboard, where they're at on that point system, how much they'll make if they get to the next level, how close are they if they do a few more votes on the calendar, which we can get into. I mean, again, there's a lot to this and there's a lot we could break down, but it might take more than just one sitting. What's the next slide underneath this, Jeremy? So that gets into the tokenomics. So, this is really different. And I'll hand this over to Jeremy to share why our tokenomics positions us to get on centralized exchanges far faster and far easier than any other token that has, these kinds of tokenomics. These are actually very different tokenomics, even though they look similar to some of the deflationary projects that have, taxes that go to these different places. These are actually very different than those. And I'll let Jeremy explain how, which allows us to get on the centralized exchanges. But in short, we're using the tokenomics not to pay everybody tokens just for holding. We don't think that's the spirit of a sustainable long-term, it's not the spirit of crypto. The spirit of crypto and the blockchain is bring value to the marketplace. And so we're using the tokenomics to reward and incentivize those that increase the value of the platform to investors, increase the value of the platform to people who are using it, and then properly reward them. So it's very different. And again, we might have to earmark, you guys might want to do deeper dive to know how all that's set up. But I want to pass it over to Jeremy to talk about the tokenomics, because the difference between our tokenomics and the ones that you see SafeMoon and all the copycats of their tokenomics do are very, very different. Theirs are very difficult to get on the centralized exchanges. Jeremy will explain why, and ours aren't. And so that's also going to be a huge chapter in how we get to the giants compete with the coin market caps and so forth, is those centralized exchanges. But Jeremy, just kind of break down real quick the difference, and I'm sure it's it's interesting to people how they're usually set up and why you don't see a lot of these projects get on centralized exchanges.
Yeah, sure. So the main reason that some of the projects like SafeMoon was one of the, not the first, but one of the first ones that used the type of tokenomics that used a reflection technique in order to make it seem like everybody had more tokens than they actually had. So it cost way too much gas to literally go around to every single wallet that holds the token and give them more tokens. So this idea that just by holding you earn more tokens, it was a very powerful concept. It was a innovative idea at the time, but the way that they had to implement it was based upon a percentage of, as people buy and sell, it adjusts a ratio, and that ratio represents a number of tokens based upon the number of tokens you do actually hold. So when you go to sell, for example, you're able to sell more tokens than you actually hold, and then that would adjust the ratio of how many tokens the next buyer or seller would be able to buy or sell. So they keep this, in essence, like a fake token count next to the real token count. So it makes it challenging to be outside of a liquidity pool and actually be on a centralized exchange, because it's not based upon a true count, a true number of tokens. So in our case, we've moved away from that. We don't have to distribute to every single wallet on every single transaction. Our royalty reflections are going to be a timed basis that those royalties will go out, and it'll only go to the holders that have met certain criteria within our site. So running through it and spending the gas on a transaction that distributes those tokens is a little bit different than trying to do that on every single buy and sell transaction. So in our case, the sell taxes that are shown on this screen will, the way that works is it shows in your wallet that you actually have that tax amount less of tokens, so that when you go to sell the tokens, it actually pulls the right amount and removes those taxes. And then the buy tax is taken at the time that you're buying a certain number of tokens. You actually will then receive less based upon that tax. The actual count, the number of tokens that you have, is a real token count, which is now surprisingly kind of innovative in the finance smart chain space, where there's so many videos and whatnot out there where people are like, come in and just copy SafeMoon and make millions of dollars. So this concept of reflection tokenomics has gone all over the place, and most of the people using it don't actually understand it, but it does make it easier for us having an actual token count to be able to work with a centralized exchange where they will buy a certain number of tokens to allow for those the buy and sell transactions, even though they use booking and matching.
Awesome. Yeah, if I could just ask you a question on that, Jeremy. So the contract's not renowned, so you can tweak things, I take it. And the taxes are variable based on the voter scouts and bettors. How does that work inside the app?
Yeah, so what we've done is we've built in caps and minimums to the taxes. So even though the taxes can be varied, the point of varying it is, for example, If we have enough tokens in the vetter pool or the participatory pool to be able to pay out the rewards, you're not necessarily going to have to continue keeping the tax at that high of a rate. So we have the ability to withdraw taxes, but never go above the stated amounts. And then we have the ability to adjust how many tokens are paid to somebody for activities that they do. If we didn't have those controls and the prices get out of line with how much a vetter token is worth, then you can end up, paying somebody a significant amount of money, as opposed to trying to keep it, relative to the different tiers that we have, et cetera. So there are some, controls in place where, we'll have the ability to tweak things in the smart contract, but the contract will be open. People will be able to see what those are. There will not be anything like abilities to mint new tokens. There's no ability to self-destruct, right? There's no, these things that are dangerous to have in there are not there. And then the ones that are adjustable have limits.
Awesome. And will there be a cost to use the DApp, or a minimum token hold, or bonuses for holding the vetter token for investors?
We do have an incentivization where maybe Jeremy can go through that. But one of the things I love to share with investors and also people who want something viable to use, because obviously in the industry, when we go in and we invest, sometimes it's a passive thing where we just, there's pump and dump situations, and very rarely are there situations where we actually want to invest, where we profit from the project, and we actually want to use what the project is creating, and it actually gets better over time. And a lot of people have shared that with me, where they may be involved investing in a project, but they don't quite know why they would stay in the project or hold or hodl. And Jeremy, can you share about some of the incentivization, or Mike, about the incentivization in terms of an investor, someone coming to use in the first tier, and then the tiers that we have that incentivize people for actually holding, which is a really high level thing for people who are concerned about people dumping the project, because we have done 2 private sales and we're working on a pre-sale, and people are like, well, how are you guys doing this, and how are you going to prevent sell-offs? And this to me is Mike's genius of creating incentivization for people to actually hold.
Well, yeah, I don't think we have time to go through all the ways that we stabilize the price floor after Pancake and are going to be able to increase it, but I do have a video on that, on stabilizing the price floor. We have a lot of innovative things that we built in that we won't have time for today. But just in answering the question really directly, there's 4 tiers. 0 counts as a tier. 0, 1, 2, 3 for a total of 4. At tier 0, you do not need to hold any tokens, but you don't get access to the fancy features. You have limited access to the video vault. And the way we're going to use tier 0 is to set up marketing funnels outside the typical BSC network. Like, we're going to expand the BSC network in a major way. And we're going to use those videos. For example, a lot of the mainstream who love crypto, who love Bitcoin, who love Ethereum, they don't, and it's a big majority, by the way. I was one of them not that long ago. And it's, going to YouTube and trying to figure out how to do everything is not very easy, even if you're pretty savvy. Unless you're really technically minded. You guys probably notice there's a lot of technically minded people in this market, but not a lot of mainstream type minds in this market. So we're going to change that. So the tier 0 gives them limited access to the video vault that's specifically designed to help those people, the masses, be able to learn how to do the simple things, or the not simple for them, like turning Ethereum into BNB, little things like that. How to use Binance Bridge. What do you do if you're in the US and you got to use Binance.us, because it's a different process than if you're anywhere else. Like, all of these things will be in the video vault at tier 0, and they'll be this is where our video marketing funnels and education, we've built lots of software in the back for years on education around using videos and stuff, teaching things. So all this will come into play to onboard and expand. Like, we don't even care if anybody in the current BSC market invests in this thing, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously we're building a funnel for that, but our bigger picture is we're going to expand the market quickly. It's very easy for us to do that. That's tier 0. You can see the calendar. You can see how many ICOs, pre-sales, fair launches are happening, but you can't get details on them at tier 0. And then tier 1 gives you limited access, more access to the video vault, and more access to features on the calendar, but still very limited. And we don't have the exact amount of tokens a person needs to hold right now at these tiers. We'll announce that when the app launches. It's going to obviously change as the price of the token goes up. But obviously the higher the tier, the more tokens they need to hold. Tier 0 will give them limited access to things. Like, for example, the calendar will show them basic details on the pre-sale on the ICO coming up, but they won't see the color coding. They won't see, which projects were loaded by someone who's ranked purple versus red. They'll need to increase how much they're holding. They will see which projects are vetted, but they won't see the vetted information. And then, correct me if I'm wrong on that, Jeremy, you can come in on top of this. And then tier 2 is just more features. Now you've got full access to, which is the 3rd tier, by the way, because 0 counts as a tier. You got to hold more vetter to get there. Now you can get compensated, by the way. You couldn't get compensated at tier 0 or 1. Now you can get compensated as a voter, a scout, or a vetter. You can enter into that ranking scoring system. And now you see the color coding on the calendar, which is obviously the big advantage. So you know where to put your research time. And that's when you're really fully engaged with the most robust features. The last tier, which you need to hold a lot of token for, this is for like the big investors. You get all of that, but it's really geared towards those that maybe don't want to be a voter or a scout or a vetter, but they really love what's going on and they love the value that this whole thing's bringing to them. And they'll need a lot. They'll need to hold a lot. And, again, we'll define what a lot is when we launch around the DApp around November 2nd. But the only difference between that and the other ones are they get everything that tier 2 gets, but they also get access to the Vetter Trading Club information. And this is like really, really cool, like signaling, because in the Vetter Trading Club, we're taking a large portion of the vetter pool, and the best vetters get to present how they think we should invest that. And the other vetters, qualified vetters who are contributing to the value of the project, they get a vote on how we're going to invest that. So you got the best people guiding how we're going to invest. It's like a trading club, so that we can 2x it, 3x it, 5x it. And then there's these different portfolios you enter into as a vetter. And again, not everybody's going to do this. These are the most hardworking vetters, the ones that are bringing the most value to the project, because they're really vetting the project. So they're going into like Market Move and Sonar, and they're looking at the best research tools out there, and they're using them to vet these projects on the calendar. So they're doing a lot of work, and so we got to compensate them massively. And so the trading club is part of that. And obviously there's a lot of value to knowing how they're investing, because these are some of the best people on the whole calendar. I mean, the crowdsourcing models bring you just bubbling up to the surface, the absolute best at this game. That's our top vetters. And so we know that some of the biggest investors are going to be really interested. They're not going to want to do the work. The biggest investors probably aren't going to, most of them want to do the work to be a vetter, but they're probably going to want to know how those vetters are investing, and to track that and see that. And they'll have access to all that, including recordings to the calls. So it'll be like this really high level signaling service, for the ICO market.
And I just want to mention,
yeah,
I just want to mention that the cool thing is that we had, or have had, hundreds and hundreds of people already doing this for free. And as soon as we kind of had that,
actually paying us, they're
paying us. They're paying us to have access. And we do in the Discord, we have a lot of live group chats. Mike's been heading that up, and I'll come in there and educate people on what to look for. And one of the things I really loved that I was able to see implemented that Jeremy's building in the DApp here is something that a really high level PR gentleman mentioned to me yesterday, that he thought it was his favorite feature. I was like, that's funny, because I just love how for myself, I'm not into stress. I'm into investing in projects that have been vetted by either myself or our vetters, high-level people that have been educated in this research project. And we get to obviously decide upon ourselves, right? Doing our own research and all of that, and make our own assumption of, okay, well, I want to put in X amount of BNB into this project. And for myself, I never wanted to come into the project and have to watch like every millisecond in case something weird were to happen to the project. You know, the anxiety that it creates. I wanted to go for a hike and go out to lunch and do whatever I wanted to do instead of having to sit by my computer waiting to see if a project was actually going to make it or not. And so with our ranking system, Jeremy, if you could go back to that, the calendar view, because the shapes and colors, and I wanted to add I wanted to add shapes because I realized people, my father's colorblind, and I wanted to make sure that people who are colorblind could actually see the shapes and associate that as well with colors. But one of the cool features that the PR gentleman really liked is not having to come in right away and have to take your money out, or to have to sit there after a launch or after a project goes live to, like, you know, sweat it out. Instead, we added a feature where you could actually have the calendar show you projects over 30-day periods and look for vetters who have vetted projects that have tended or have a tendency of succeeding 2x to 100x or more over time. And so for me personally, I really wanted to add that into the platform to be able to not stress about where I'm investing, but to actually invest in projects that are likely going to succeed at a later time frame, so I don't have to stress about it. And so that, you know, I could just kind of set it and forget it and come back to, you know, Pancake Swap and see that it's, you know, 7x'd over 30 days or something, you know. And there's just so many projects that our team has come to us. And, you know, within 5 days, we had a college dropout generate 6 figures finding a project in our platform. And that's just, you know, it brought tears to my eyes just because I thought it was just, you know, so wonderful to be able to provide that kind of research for people. And then a very successful developer in the industry who launched about 2 months ago on the BSC messaged me 2 days ago saying he found a project in our platform and is up 6 figures, and was just saying how excited he was in supporting our project. So there's just so many things and so many features that we are going to be launching within version 1, but then of course advancing with. And one of the things that I don't see in the industry that really bugged me so much and got under my skin was that, you know, there would be all this buildup for developing a portion of the app, and then they would release it, and then people would be saying, okay, now what? What's next? And with us, it's like, okay, wait 2 weeks, wait 4 weeks. We've got something more. We've got something more releasing over time. You know, so the strategic, obviously, it's helpful for our dev team to be able to build in phases, which is very you know, mindful of the development side. But because we have so much that we are developing, it works with our, you know, marketing strategy as well to be able to give people something substantial, very juicy, and something tangible that they can work with, and to be able to have that strategy over time for them to see that there's actually more developing. So, you know, we just see in the industry that this is just needed. So we're really excited to be able to be a part of this.
Yeah, I mean, the gamification with the scoring and ranking system, I can see millions of people participating in that. That's really exciting. And what's the sort of timeline for the app to launch?
So we're looking at the first release of it actually being 2 weeks after the token launches. So we don't want to wait, you know, I don't know how many projects you end up waiting months, and there's delays and delays before applications come out. We've been developing the D app in sync with developing the token and everything. I've got a really good dev team that I've worked with for years. One is doing back end, one is doing the front end, and then I'm doing all the smart contract stuff. So between us, we have all of the pieces being developed at the same time. And then, like Robin mentioned, you know, it'll come out in sort of cadences, you know, every couple of weeks. We'll be adding new features, which lends to more people wanting to use it. And then to kind of circle back on the question, the stabilization, we actually have tokens built in to reward people for holding for a year. Like Mike said, there's a whole video that he did on talking about all this, so we don't have to get into the details. But among many other reasons why people are going to want to keep and hold the tokens, for example, to be at the tier and use our software, they're going to have to hold tokens. There's also incentives for, every 90 days releasing some tokens to those who are in the initial, investment pool. So most of these people that are buying, the tokens early because they were able to be part of our group and be in the private sales, will want to hold those tokens and not dump them. And we also are not doing a lot of anything that we pay for, if there is any paid advertising, marketing, etc. Nothing that we pay is in our token, because we don't want to have a lot of tokens out there in hands of somebody who can then just dump them. And the same thing for the pre-sale. We're doing a lower pre-sale amount, because the launch platform gets a number of tokens when you launch on their platform. So we didn't want to put as much money into the pre-sale, because then now you have another holder who's not really interested in the long-term success of the project. They're just going to dump those tokens. We're also building in a way to add liquidity and whatnot in the beginning to help keep the price stabilized and going up. So there's a lot of things that we're doing, not just from a token standpoint, but as Mike and Robin just mentioned, from an application standpoint and marketing standpoints, we've got all of this planned out so that we can release it quickly after the token is launched and continue adding that excitement and use case to actually be a utility token.
Awesome. Yeah.
Mike is I'm so sorry, Mike is unable to unmute himself. If you can just he got booted out. You can bring back in. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, so that's great.
That's okay.
Yeah, so
you guys are doing great. Keep going.
Yeah, so the white paper is coming out later today, so investors could come over to the Telegram and check that out. I've gone over the white paper, but you are going to have 1% reflections for investors in the Better token, but more details are coming out in the white paper later today.
Yeah, we should be really clear. So those aren't going to everybody, and that's very purposeful from both a marketing perspective, but also to get on the centralized exchanges. They can't be regular reflections that go to everybody. So what, again, all of the tokenomics that are going out are going to people who contributed in some way. So the royalty reflections, that's 1%. That's only going to go to people who at least got to a rank of green. So if somebody gave it a go, they provided a little bit of value to Vetter. They found some crypto projects, and they learned how to become a better vetter, which is a lot of what this is also about. Like, we're literally compensating and incentivizing people to use our video vault to get better at doing what they should be doing anyway, which is learning how to make more money. And so those that give it a go and they get to at least the rank of green, which is somebody that is doing okay at posting projects that do well, either in a 24-hour period, a 7-day period, or a 30-day period. It actually has a different, that's what Robin was getting at. It has a different coding system, based on those different time frames. If somebody's doing decent, they'll turn green on that calendar, and they can quit from there. So maybe they just gave it a go for a week or two or whatever. As long as they got to the rank of green, they'll never have to do anything ever again, and they will be a part of those 1% reflections from that point forward for the rest of their life. And I want to really underscore those 1% reflections on the buy and sell. So I refer to that as 2%, because if somebody gets in and out, that's 2% going to the reflection pool, the royalty reflection pool. I want to really make sure everyone understands that's way higher, way higher than what these other reflections, what these other programs pay if you're comparing the percentages. So for example, 1% on the buy and 1% on the sell going to reflections is very low with SafeMoon or one of those types of projects. So it's paying it to everybody because it's diluted. It's paying it to every holder. But here it's only paying it to those who gave it a go, provided some value, got to at least to the rank of green. And that's going to be a small percentage of holders. And so that 1%, or let's call it 2%, because it's 1% on the buy and 1% on the sell, that 2% reflection is now more like 10% reflection, or maybe even higher in comparison to other projects. So I really want to underscore that, because we want to reward people. That we don't want people to have to contribute forever to be able to benefit from some of the tokenomics. If they help bring value to the project, even just very little value, they can be a part of that pool.
Yeah, and will the scoring and ranking be a cross blockchain, or will it just be for the BS scan?
Yeah, the initial phase of this is going to focus on BSC, but very quickly, and we've got it built into the smart contract and the user interface to do Cardano, Solana, Matic, of course, the Ethereum network, and even have the ability, it's built into the smart contract, whereas more are added. It's designed so that we can expand with the market. Absolutely. And we very much plan to. We also plan to take this crowdsourcing AI model and the voting and the ranking and the incentivization to the NFT market. And so we're going to have a very aggressive campaign, and we're very well funded. We got a phenomenal team. So we're going to be able to take this and just keep developing. But yeah, absolutely, across all the different networks, even as the industry expands.
That's all very exciting. Now, the market cap when it launches, because it is a large, you had a large private sale. That was 1,000 BNB. How did that go? And what's that going towards that you raised there in the private sale?
Yeah, so the private sale was 1,000, and like Jeremy was getting at there, we had planned to raise an additional 3,500 BNB in the pre-sale. And then about last minute, we said, why would we do that? Because that's going to give a huge commission, like Jeremy was talking about a moment ago. It's going to give a huge commission to DXL or PinkCell, the launch pad that launches us. And that's going to make them a whale wallet, which we've worked really hard not to have. And it's not only going to be a whale wallet, it's going to be a whale wallet of somebody who has no vested interest in the long-term success of the project. They're just going to dump them. And that's going to create selling pressure. And so we took 2,000 of the 3,500 BNB pre-sale raise and put that into a second private sell to remove that extra selling pressure. Because we have so much trust with our community, we're like, we don't need a launch pad to establish that trust. They'll just send us the BNB. And so we just didn't see any reason whatsoever, any benefit to having that 3,500 be in the pre-sale, other than just to like amaze people, like, oh, wow, they raised 3,500. I mean, there's that wow factor, I guess, but we didn't think that was worth it. So there was a 2,500 BNB raise. And again, guys, I know, there's exceptions like Mini Doge and Everrise. Obviously, there's been projects that have done very, very well with high raises. But I know it's unusual, and I just want to stress it's unusual because it's extremely unusual that anyone's actually taking that investment money and investing it into developing anything of value, which is exactly what we're doing here. I made it really clear to everybody, I don't take a cent, I don't take anything from the pre-sale or the private sale, nothing, ever. And we have a full transparency Google Doc showing every expenditure that we make and where it goes. We've been doing that with the private sale, and we'll do it with everybody in the pre-sale as well. And that goes, indefinitely. So they can see where every dime goes, which can be very educational, I think, for a lot of people. I want to really underscore that I don't know any other project. I'm sure there's some, but it's extremely unusual that a project doesn't pay themselves out of their fundraise for their time. I will say, for full disclosure, Robin, who's on here, and Jeremy, who's on here, they are co-founders. And they do get paid something, just because I didn't want their time distracted taking other projects, but they're taking very, very, very little. And that will, it's full disclosure. I mean, you see exactly how much they're getting. I get nothing for everything that I bring to the project. I can get paid out of the tax money, obviously, for marketing and work that I put in, but I get nothing from the private sale or pre-sale. And the reason why I wanted to do that, I want to be really clear, is because I didn't want to be like just about every other project in this situation. If I was paying myself out of the private sale and pre-sale like everybody else does, I didn't want to be in a situation where it's like, okay, should we do this huge PR campaign? Should we develop this new NFT version of the DApp? And looking at the expense of it and thinking, well, then I wouldn't be able to pay myself so much. So I want to just remove that conflict of interest off the table. I didn't want to look at these funds as mine in any way, shape, or form. And guys, that's exactly what's going on. And that's why you don't see any of these projects developing real products, is because these mostly kids are developing these projects. They get a huge amount of money from the launch, and then they kind of look at it as their money. And as the weeks and months go on, realize, well, if I invest into this project that may or may not be successful because they really don't know what they're doing, and they don't know how to put together projects that the market really wants, let alone implement them, they're realistically looking at it going, I'd probably be wasting money because it's probably not going to be successful. And then they stop
Well, that was
investing.
something that happened with me when I was actually vetting projects, and I got kind of in with some of the founders of a project that some of the devs I just kind of clashed with, and I was like, what's going on here? Why am I clashing? So obviously I'm letting, the Tribe 100X Discord team know of like my experience, because that's as a vetter. You're like, well, here's what I found when I did my research on this project. So, one of the scouts posted in our bucket a project, and I thought, well, this is interesting. And I went and researched, and I started talking to some of the founders, and I got in on a phone call with one of the founders. And, one of the things I have to say that really, and this was before we started, our launch conception, actually, it was like the pre stage. And they were saying how they were taking all of this money from a big private sale they were doing. They were going to be launching a pre-sale, and they were giving away a lot of tokens to these big influencers who they were hoping, cross your fingers, please don't dump our token when we send it to you. And they were sharing how they, and I don't know, this might have been a Freudian slip, but they said, someone's name, they said, I can't wait to work on the next 20 projects with you, bro. And I thought, wait a minute.
In short, most of these projects are just collecting the money with a story. I think you guys know this, right? And
they jump on to the next.
They're raising it for themselves. That's not what we're doing here. We're raising it for a project. So when you analyze what we're raising, in our case, because we're actually raising it to develop the project, it's a good thing we're well-funded. It's a really good thing. It's not a good thing for most of the other projects when they're well-funded, because they're looking at it as their money and they're not actually developing anything. But in our case, when you look at the fact that we raised, we're well over $1 million so far, the fact that I'm not paying myself anything, the fact that everybody who's in the pre-sale and private sale sees every expenditure forever of where the money goes, this is a good thing. It means we can actually implement and fulfill the vision of the project, which means a really high value of the token when you learn about it this early.
Yeah, it really bothered me when the marketing dev wallet was like, 70% going to the founders. And I'm like, what's their motivation to actually build anything? And so then they got stuck with this big idea, vision of a project, and that's what sold everyone, right? We get sold on that idea of it, and then they never end up being able to actually follow through because they took all the money and then they launched something else, and that's why Mike said, this is our first project, launching something, which is really exciting for us, but we are collaborating with people who have.
Well, Robin, that's actually not true. I've launched many multi-million-dollar projects.
On the BSC,
It's the same process.
But I want to say on the reverse side of it, the danger sometimes is if you meet a dev who's done 3 or 5 different projects, and it's kind of like, well, why did you leave the first one? Oh, it didn't really work out. Why did you leave the second one? Well, someone got greedy, and then it just went.
Yeah, it's not their intention. It's not their intention to develop anything of value. That's mostly what's going on.
Right.
And quite frankly, guys, that's exactly what the Vetter platform is going to help clean up. In fact, another thing that's going on, guys, is a lot of pump and dumps, right? Like somebody will, even in our Discord, somebody would come in and they would shill a project with a 5,000 market cap, right? And what's going on? Well, what's going on is there's these people in these groups who will get a bunch of free tokens, because it's really easy to create one. And then they'll go out and shill it in shill groups. It has a 5,000 market cap, so it has almost no liquidity. And so as soon as people buy it, the price shoots up, they sell and it spikes, and then it dies, and they do it over and over again. And unsuspecting people, that follow these shill groups, they don't realize why they keep losing money. On the calendar, if we see somebody posting on the calendar things with really, really low market caps, we can vote on it. The people of the higher tiers can vote on it, and it will have a little poison label on it. And people will be able to put their mouse over it, and it explains, you can invest in these and you can do well if you get lucky, but here's what's going on. So we're going to really be educating people through this process as well. But yeah, back to what Robin was saying, another thing, and what Jeremy was saying about stabilizing the price floor and increasing it, another thing that we're doing is we, the co-founders, don't get any tokens until a year. We don't get any tokens until a year. because we have no intention to dump them on the market. and even after a year, they're vested. So it will actually, we'll get 10% every month after that. So, you know, obviously our incentive is to make this extremely valuable.
I mean, myself personally researching this, I've researched hundreds of AMAs, and I can see this on a different level. And you've got a very professional team. With the pre-sale, how can investors get involved with that? And can they go over to Discord and try the beta version of the app?
Yeah, I mean, the beta version has a cost to it. It's $55 a month. If somebody's brand new to crypto, we want them to buy a class. It's like $99 because otherwise they won't know what's going on. But if they're pretty decently into crypto, they could just come into the Discord. And there are advantages to that if you want to use the platform, because between now and then you could get qualified to be a vetter, for example, pretty quickly. And I hold on, guys. We have another AMA coming up here. But yeah, they just go to right now it's MikeKlingler.com. I mean, that's where we set up because, you know, we started with a large community that have worked with us for, you know, years. MikeKlingler.com will take you to Tribe 100X, or just go to YouTube and type in Tribe 100X Discord and you'll find plenty on it. But yeah, you can join us in there. We are going to keep that going for our vetters. Scouts won't have to be in there. Voters won't have to be in there. Vetters, which is, you know, the vetters need to communicate with each other. It's a really high level of involvement with the vetter platform. They will need to be in the Discord, but scouts and voters will not. But certainly could be some advantages for those that want to check it out. Yeah, just go to YouTube, I think, and type in Tribe 100X Discord, and you'll find plenty on it.
That's really exciting. So I can open it up to the team. Has anyone got a question for Mike, Jeremy, or Robin? No. Any questions from investors? No. Oh, we can carry on then. So yeah, how can investors get involved in the pre-sale coming up? Is it the 19th of October?
Yeah, so October 19th. Go to the Vetter Telegram group. Is there a way, did Robin post a link to that? Or I would go in there, there's a link in the pinned post to get on the whitelist.
Our website also takes you to Telegram. If you go to vetter.ai, it's maybe just easier. Jeremy, if you want to just vetter.ai.
Yeah, but get in the Telegram, go to the pinned post, and the first pinned post, you know, the one that's featured will have a link to the whitelist. That's the next step.
Yeah, our Telegram, by the way, is t.me/vetter, VETTER platform. So I think you guys all know this, but watch out for the fake ones. We've already got a lot of those. Yeah, I created a couple fake ones just in case myself.
Wait, why did you create a fake platform? What do you
because
mean?
I knew people were going to search token, but when I was creating the name of the social accounts, I wanted it to be Vetter platform because we're more than just a token.
That's a good idea.
So it's Vetter platform.
It directs them to the correct one.
Yeah.
Cool. Good idea.
Yeah. So yeah, really exciting, guys. Just such a pleasure to be here. If you have questions for us, maybe another time, we'll be on another AMA tomorrow, actually at 4 Eastern on our channel and Telegram. If you guys want to hop over there, we're working on some new PR exposure, as I mentioned, a little teaser starting out, and then a big ramp up across different crypto sites and you know, Yahoo News and Bitcoin.com, places like that. And we have some influencers working with us. We have people who are influencers who just found our project, word of mouth, and are shooting videos on YouTube about it. So if you go to YouTube, you'll see probably me on video. You'll see Mike on video sharing his goodies there, and other influencers as well. We have a huge community of, as we were saying before, you know, we've had a very solid, warm market. And that's one of the things that stands out really for us is when we started and we spoke about launching, pre-launch, we just had such a deep interest. And so, you know, if you're listening to this and you're an investor and you think that our, private sale is a lot, or you're wondering why we raised so much for marketing dev and all of that, know that as the guys here shared, Mike and Jeremy shared, it's going to the development of the platform and the product, and it's the token itself is being held and will be held. Even when people take profit, they're sharing that they're going to hold a lot of token and buy more on the dips, because they are a part of this community. They want to use the platform and they want to generate income with the platform.
We should mention that before we go, that everybody in the first private sale, everybody were paying members of our Discord, and that wasn't enough for them to get in, and had been contributing as vetters and scouts to the platform, many of them for more than 3 months. And so the chance of them selling early is very, very, very low, because they're like really highly committed.
Very different than other projects.
In the second private sale, almost everybody, same thing. And so these aren't regular dumpers. These are very loyal people to the project. If you go into our Telegram and you go to the live chat, there's someone there 24/7 almost. The level of help and assistance that you get from the community is just off the charts. We probably have the most supportive, vested, loyal to the project community that's launched on the BSC. And that's going to translate into, again, a stable price floor. Like, we did all that on purpose. We only opened up the private sale to them initially because we knew they won't be the sellers and the dumpers. But guys, we got to get ready for the next one. I really appreciate you having me here. And, hopefully you guys will see us around in the Vetter Telegram. Ask any questions you got as this thing nears launch. But definitely get on the white list, because it's definitely filling up fast.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you very much for coming, Mike, Jeremy, and Robin. Yeah, it's very exciting. I'll be following this closely, because it's something unique you're offering to crypto and the BSC. It's very, very exciting, actually. I was really pumped researching this, and I'm looking forward to the future for Better Token. It's amazing.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Glenn. Thanks for having us, and thanks everybody. And
thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming, guys. Yeah, take care. Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.